Before we begin, I just want to say that I am not trying to turn this into a Lio Convoy defense channel, whatever that would entail. It's more the case that I just commentate on things that either spark my interest or that I have pre-existing knowledge on, and given this is a drama that I have been paying attention to, that means that naturally, if somebody makes a bad video, or in this case a bad document, on said drama, I'll be more privy to understanding why it's flawed. In general, this is also probably going to be my last video on this drama specifically, although I'm not unwilling to return to it on the condition that new arguments are brought forward. Tonight's commentary is on a document called Obliteration of Lio Convoy and Senate. This document was written by a fellow named Neo-Ra, and, well, you can take a guess what it sets out to do. Let's start with some of the smaller claims before I move my way onto the bigger ones. At one point, the document shows this screenshot, a message from Peaches to prove that Lio and Peaches have made daddy jokes about each other. To which my response is, what exactly is the joke here? Peaches just calls Lio her dad. Is that a joke to you guys on its own? I'm genuinely really confused right now. Regarding the shot at Rosie for saying she didn't care, which appears to be a common attempt at a smoking gun by those critical of Peaches in this drama. And yeah, fair warning, this document does also attempt to make the claim that everybody was aware of what Coyote did and were covering for him. Begging the question, I should note, why, if Senate is so dishonest and also doesn't have an issue with Coyote's actions, they still decided to get rid of him. Can anybody on the more conspiratorial side of this drama please answer that for me? I don't get it. But regarding that specifically, I'm just gonna play what I said to Gilded Poo when he made this same claim. Here, I'm not even entirely sure what the issue is. Yeah, Coyote had also done something bad in response to these allegations, and that would not change regardless of how true the specific actions Coyote was being accused of were. That's what Rosie was trying to communicate in this message. More specifically, Peaches is referring to Coyote lying to Lio, which can be seen through listening to the audio of that clip the screenshot you're showing appears in. One which was played in Mr. Pooh's video, by the way.
Cass's stream starts on the 26th of February, and I finally hear about the allegations fully, and I message Coyote to get his arse on the stream as, at this point, even if the allegations of him being into Sappho were false, he's dicked up anyway by lying and throwing everyone under the bus. So, surprise, Coyote shows up on the stream.
This tweet from Peaches on her That Rebel Rosie account, which makes fun of Fursky for making a very similar claim, can also work as my entire response, if I'm being blunt with you. This part of the document says it's hypocritical for Lio to get on to Gilded Poo for entering servers and posting zoophilic images because he's actually posted other shock images that are part of the same category in the past. What that category isn't actually stated, but it's the same one those two images are in, really. I won't be showing the image because I just don't really want it on my channel. However, I will say that this comparison is flawed for a number of reasons. Among them, that Lio posted this in 2020, October of 2020 to be exact, 2.5 years ago. Meaning he's had plenty of time to change his opinion on what is and isn't acceptable. Maybe he would view this as acceptable today, maybe he wouldn't, I don't know, but you don't provide any evidence that he would right now, and therefore you haven't actually proven that he's a hypocrite. Furthermore, this was not posted in Queen Seraphina's server, you know, the server that Mr. Pooh actually raided. This was posted in Senate, which is an 18+ server, while Queen Seraphina's server is only 16+. Therefore meaning there are minors in Seraphina's server, but not in Senate. This is something Lio specifically talks about when discussing Mr. Pooh's raid in his video on Kaz Warfox.
This was quickly followed up by Gilded Pooh having someone go into Queen Seraphina's server, a server with minors in it, and spamming scat and zoo porn. I'm not going to verbally describe the stuff, but the description for it is on screen.
Given Senate is specifically made for adults, it should be obvious that certain things would be more tolerable there than they would be in Queen Seraphina's server. Just as certain things are allowed in NC-17 and X-rated movies, but aren't allowed in R-rated movies, for example. Lastly, and this is quite possibly the most important part, a shock image of a rosary chicken is not the same as actual zoo porn, you fucking idiots. And it's at this point I actually have to pull the rug out from under my audience. You see, the link the document gives for evidence of this claim is Lio responding to the tweet, making this comparison and explaining why it doesn't make any fucking sense. Cursed food is the same as terabytes of zoo porn that you were okay with? Oh yeah, the terabytes of zoo porn thing, that comes from something Gilded Pooh told Lio in a Discord call.
Kinda, but I'm curious. Like, why do you just have that, though?
God, Vlad, why do you have it, Vlad?
Why are so many crybabies? I have terabytes of it. To point, well, not just that, but also scat porn and stuff like that. And it's in a file called Trigger Faggot.
What the fuck?
And that's exactly why it's here, to trigger fucking faggot.
Oh wait, I mean being a sarcastic douche. Gotta downplay it. Interesting take. There's literally nothing of substance that you'll get on me. But hey, keep trying.
I couldn't make this shit up. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. I'm sad that I lack the talent to make this shit up.
Or how about this part, which alleges that Lio knew about everything regarding Coyote's op on Sappho, as well as the entire rest of the Senate for some reason, and didn't take issue with it, I guess, is the implication here. It's not actually spelled out. The evidence the document gives for this is a call with Gilded Pooh, where Lio does say that he found out about the op on the 7th, by the way, not on the 5th, and that the goal of doing so, according to Coyote at the time at least, was to get a warrant for arrest on Sappho. He then told Coyote to stop doing it.
Coyote contacted me on January 7th. Oddly enough, he initially contacted me about something completely different, and while he was talking to me, he brought up his op on Sappho. He told me that he was flirting with her to try to get information. He gave me the rundown about the alleged arrest warrant, and I told him in no uncertain terms, this is dumb, and you shouldn't be doing it, and you need to stop. The Coyote was dead set that he'd get information. And then I find out like a month later he decides to end it and blames Pizza for talking about it on Kiwi Farms, despite Alex apparently doing so well before Pizza did.
Or how about this part, which claims that Lio and Senate called a man named Cedric Feldman, aka SETI, a zoophile because he favorited art from an account that had also posted zoophilic artwork. For those of you who would like to see evidence of this, so would I. Unfortunately, the document does not provide any. Instead, all that is linked to is a thread where SETI responds to these claims without mentioning Lio or Senate once. This is also the basis for a thread linked in the document, written by the author of the document, by the way, which calls Lio a hypocrite for calling Cedric a zoophile, even though, again, this person has no evidence Lio has done such, but not Coyote, despite them doing the exact same thing. What's ironic is that I think this is in reference to Lio mentioning that SETI has followed accounts which post feral porn in his video on Kaz Warfox. However, that was only even mentioned to acknowledge the hypocrisy of Kaz and his crew because of how ready they were to condemn Coyote for the exact same thing and got on to Lio for not being aggressive enough, even though they were perfectly fine hanging out with somebody who, again, was engaging in that action.
It seems, digging into Cedric's for Affinity account, that SETI here is really into feral porn himself. Some Balto action, a brush with the Berenstein Bears, very interesting. Even more interesting was when I had that call with Cass, Pizza, Keisuke, and Finnegan about Coyotes following similar events back in February before the stream. I told Cass about what I found on Cedric. And for some reason, despite Coyote's follows being the only concrete proof of serious wrongdoing at the time, I was expected to deal with Coyote in the moment despite having a medical reason not to until the end of the week. But Cass? Nah, despite everything he said during his edgy anime speech on his Coyote video about accountability, he didn't say anything to Cedric until after his stream on Coyote. Only said it privately, and kept Ceddy around afterwards anyways. Rules for me, but not for thee, right? Keep in mind, I'm applying their standards here.
Lyo even acknowledges in the clip in this Twitter thread that is shown that this is actually fairly mundane and happens to people all the time.
That no matter what, because...
Yeah, but what I'm asking is when you favorite somebody, or rather you follow them, when they upload, does it show up on your feed like Twitter? Or is it something you have to go look for, is my question.
It's something you have to go look for, but it also, shows how many people you are actually watching. So, essentially, you can't hide who you're watching on the site.
No. Well, that's obvious, because that's how you found out about all that, right? So my question was, all right, let's just, because with one of the guys whose name I can't remember, Ice something or the other, Coyote had liked, some sort of wolf furry. And sometimes, and I think it happens with a lot of people who like art, they might look at one piece of art and follow the person without being fully aware of everything else they post, because it does happen sometimes. So that is why it's a little less concerning to me, because I think it's happened to just about anybody who follows an artist.
So a little... Again, the action isn't the issue, the hypocrisy is, and Cedric isn't even the target of criticism here. Kaz and the Fox Mafia are. Do you have any understanding of how to comprehend words you are hearing? Yeah, if you haven't figured it out yet, the claims in this document are utterly nonsensical, and essentially all of them can be debunked just by looking at the sources the document itself links. I am not joking when I say that. That is when the points aren't just obviously kind of stupid. I've actually already shown you most of the claims made in this document, and let me just say the remaining ones are, as you would guess, also fucking nonsense. The document opens by claiming that this person was doxxed by Lyo. This claim is backpedaled on about a page and a half later, where this person claims that Lyo responded to this accusation by pointing out that the name Lyo called them was on a public channel he connected to them. The document says that doesn't make it okay, which you can argue if you want, but that also doesn't make it doxing. Furthermore, the document says that Lyo looked for this information with malicious intent, so if he had done the exact same thing with altruistic intent, would it have been fine? The document then goes on to ask how exactly Lyo even managed to find this account that was linked to that person. According to him, once again, in a tweet that you linked, it was because you linked the channel to your account. Is this wrong? Because if so, you do nothing to disprove it. That's not even getting into how you claim that Lyo got this information from your Facebook early on in the document, a claim which is contradicted again by a tweet you linked on the next fucking page. Anyway, my final thoughts are this. I firmly believe that the combination of how easy it is to debunk these points, put alongside with how many of them have already been debunked time and time again, goes to show you who has the intelligence in this controversy. Say what you want about Lyo, and don't get me wrong, he's not perfect. I'm sure he's made mistakes. At the very least, he has not repeated obviously disprovable lies like these people have. Good night, and good luck.